Hello everybody, it is Sunday, the 12th of December. I want to talk about love. Now, it has been on my mind for a couple of days what love actually is and what it works. And I'm making this video now because apparently there's a podcast tonight with David Icke and Max Egan saying love is the greatest force in the universe. In a way that is correct. But you need to work it correctly. It is your emotion, it is your servant, and you must work it correctly. So where David Icke goes, to me, love is the opposite of evil, or it is the absence of fear. It's actually neither of those things. But, it is like, I'm still a little bit fuzzy about what love actually is, but I think it is the greatest force in the universe, therefore we should all work it before we actually understand what it is or what it does work. So it's not the opposite of evil. Evil comes into being through what you do. Love brings to you the information out of the field, out of, the knowledge of the universe, so to speak. But evil comes into being out of what you do with that information, the way that you use it. And no, it's not the opposite of fear. Fear is actually contained within love, and I show you that if you understand what it is. Love is your emotional energy. Love is that which reaches out. And the information travels on the energy, so to speak. It is the spirit that brings the knowledge. So fear, and it is like your cell phone. You have bandwidth on which you can place information. So fear is the smallest bandwidth, which doesn't reach out. Fear doesn't reach out. It's very much contained. You're still receiving, but you receive very, very little. And then your options are limited. You're in fight or flight. Love is the energy, your energy, like a tentacle coming out of you that reaches out the furthest. So fear is actually contained within love. Every setting that you have is actually contained within love. And then it is what Jesus said. It is in giving that we receive. So it is strictly two-way traffic. So if your love tentacle, so to speak, your love energy stretches out, you give of yourself, you make yourself known, and two-way traffic. Now, if we go back into the garden just for a minute, and we see that Adam and Eve questioned God, and they had a complete knee-jerk reaction. They covered themselves up. They saw they were naked. See, that intention that wants dominion says you should love. It actually demands that you love it. And only me. I'm the only one. So that is where they were at. They were fully open, giving and receiving of that garden, and then make very sure you understand that the knowledge that was in the garden was the knowledge that would serve that intention, the intention to have dominion. It gathered knowledge according to itself, what would serve it. So they were fully connected in love to that garden, giving and receiving, until they really questioned the intention. And then the knee-jerk reaction was disconnect completely, into fear. And again, two-way traffic. They fell from the knowledge that was in that garden. They were no longer connected to it. But then it was no longer connected to them. And as Eve asked for wisdom when she ate of that tree, I would say that was the first blossoming of wisdom. disconnect from that thing. But now we have to find a new understanding of ourselves and what it is we are connected to. What is it we're letting in? And what is it we're giving to? So, and I see people in this internet, and again, the internet is an image built on that knowledge. It mimics that knowledge. Whether there is something out there that is doing this consciously, or if we are unconsciously building stuff, out of the knowledge of ourselves, I don't know. But it does work, as above, so below. The image works pretty much the same way as the energetic workings of this thing. And I see people go into this internet, full of love and compassion. Their tentacles completely stretched into this thing, and they receive everything all of the time. And you are wide open. It goes into you. Yeah? So if you have any sense of self-preservation, do not work it that way, indiscriminately. Because if we receive of all, some things are good for you and some things are not good for you. It's not to say that it's evil. It might work good for something else. What's food for one may be poison to another. But you're letting it all in. The food together with the poison, and you let it work inside of yourself. So that is indiscriminately reaching out there and just letting everything in without any discernment. So how do we work discernment? Now, as I said, Adam and Eve, their first knee-jerk reaction was just disconnect, go into fear, pull in your tentacles. So keep the energy within you. Don't connect. That does not work forever. And then we go on to the materialistic way. We're no longer receiving, or we're receiving very little, and we're finding our knowledge through the knowledge of the material world. And that works for a while, but we're now at a point where it no longer works, and our materialistic knowledge that has been serving the intention to have dominion has created destruction, death and destruction. And it is, as Einstein said, the knowledge that has created something cannot get you out of it. So we need to receive a higher knowledge from somewhere. So yes, we need to let that tentacle out again. We need to reach out. So we need to be the full bandwidth, the full energy. But how do we then prevent receiving everything? Because we shouldn't. Not everything serves us. And that is where the ego comes in. Believe it or not. The village idiot? The ego is the knowledge of now. And if you are your ego, and truly your ego, you should really, really limit yourself to what you actually know. And that is the knowledge received by your 5 senses and your emotional knowing to what you are attached around you. And out of that should come the knowledge of what you need. What you need. You yourself, your family, whatever it is you are attached to emotionally, that field that you're in. And then ask, what is needed? What is needed, or what's truly needed, is that which should serve life, which should give to life. And there, you are restricting. You are the master of your emotion, because you are giving it a task. So you are not restricting the bandwidth. It's still all the way out there, and it can receive lots and lots of information, but you are restricting the information that should go on it. So the restriction is, Adam and Eve work the restriction of the emotional energy. So work the restriction of what should go on it. Become the master of your emotional energy. Give it a task. Look for information pertaining to this. And there you narrow it down again. Order out of chaos. You don't take on everything, only that which will serve a specific task. Now I had this story, and that is in my head, and that is, if you wanted to build a garden shed, so you have need of a garden shed because you want to order your tools and you need someone for the lawnmower. So what is it you need to know at that moment? Yeah, how the engines of a rocket ship work, the capital of Venezuela, the average lifespan of a caterpillar. I mean, none of that information would serve you at that moment. You need to know how to build a garden shed. That's very specific. And then you can widen your field and get information from all different sources, and you can decide which one would serve you best and which would be the best garden shed for you. Now there are those that say, this is the knowledge of the universe. You should not go around building garden sheds. You should build a palace. Building a garden shed is just not a good use of this information. Okay, go and build a palace. Build the greatest palace that you can possibly build. Yeah? And then you can put your garden tools into it. And then when the day comes, that one dry day in the year when you can actually cut your lawn, you will probably spend that day running around in that palace looking for the blinking lawnmower. So, what is good is what serves. And that can be something very small, or it can be something very big. It depends on what it should serve. A palace that does not always serve. And there's this other thought that I had about, earthquakes. There shall be earthquakes in various places. So we are shifting perception. So we're shifting plates that were set in stone. Yeah? And now because we're starting shifting these plates, these perceptions, there are plates that are really coming up against each other. And it's building a lot of energy. Yeah, like the fault zones. And you can go like this and go on doing what you know is wrong, and these energies start building up until you've got the big one, and it will work utter destruction. But billions of little microquakes can also shift the plate, and they will do so in a far less destructive way. That is to say, if we had the knowledge and worked it in our own lives to give to life, and that should be at the moment restricted to need, because desires go beyond what it is you need, and then your desire might interfere with your neighbor. Yeah, so it is something you think is really good for you, but it's not good for your neighbor, and then you start conflict again. So at this moment, restrict yourself to need. And then yes, work your emotional pathways. That's what I believe. I haven't done it, but I believe it is what you do in meditation. But it is not have no thought, have no desire, get rid of that. No, your need gives a task to that emotional pathway, something it should be targeted looking for. And then you can go out wide, get all the information pertaining to that problem, and then you have narrowed it down again. So to me, that is what love is. It is the spirit that will bring the knowledge. It is the spirit that can reach out the widest, but it should be narrowed down not in how far you stretch out, but in what information it should receive. And then you are the master of that energy, and it will serve you. It will serve a task. It will serve a need. So I think I leave it at that. But I really think this is something that we need to understand, that we need to work correctly. And in saying, well, I'm not, as I said, I'm still a little bit fuzzy about what love actually is. But it is the greatest force in the universe, and we should all work it. Indiscriminately, it will do you harm, because you let in both food and poison at the same time. You are wide open. It will enter into you. The information will enter into you, the knowledge. And if we are the ones that are supposed to be the way, if you have all the information, you can no longer see the way. You have information overload. So in narrowing down what the information is, there will still be different ways, but it is narrowed down, and then you can actually do something with it. You can make a choice, a clear choice of where to go next, which part of that information to use, which would serve you best. And I said the intention must be to give to life, to save, to feed, to heal. Anyway, I leave it at that, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.